Welcome back to the channel. What if I told you that a single 1-cent coin from 1996, yes, just a humble penny, could potentially be worth an unbelievable $379 million? Sounds impossible, right? A coin that once jingled forgotten in the pockets of millions, now elevated to the ranks of fortune and legend? Welcome to one of the most baffling and intriguing stories in American numismatic history, where myth, mystery, and money collide in a way that few could have ever anticipated. Whether you're a seasoned coin collector, a curious history buff, or someone fascinated by financial oddities, this story of the 1996 USA 1-cent coin will grip you from the first minting press to the last whispered rumors of its outrageous value. To begin unraveling this mind-bending journey, we have to step back to 1996, a time when the world was teetering on the edge of a digital revolution. It was a transitional period in America. President Bill Clinton was in his second term, pop culture was being defined by grunge and hip-hop, and the internet was only just beginning to find its place in the everyday home. Amid these broader cultural shifts, the U.S. Mint continued its unrelenting work, producing billions of coins to support the American economy. The 1-cent coin, featuring the ever-stoic Abraham Lincoln, was nothing new. Since 1909, Lincoln had been the face of the penny, and by 1996, his image was so commonplace that no one thought twice about it. But something changed that year, something subtle, almost invisible. To the untrained eye, every 1996 penny looked just like the rest. But whispers began to spread among coin enthusiasts. A small batch, they said, was different. Not visibly different, but chemically, structurally, mysteriously off-spec. And as with all great mysteries, the truth was buried under layers of official silence, speculation, and just enough fact to keep the rumors alive. What made this specific penny, or perhaps a small subset of pennies, so rare and potentially worth hundreds of millions? Let's talk numbers for a second. Over 6 billion pennies were minted in 1996 across the Philadelphia and Denver mints. That's 6 billion times the same copper-plated zinc coin, weighing 2.5 grams each, flowing out of the presses at mind-numbing speed. In that kind of volume, even the smallest anomaly can either go unnoticed or become a legend. Stories began to surface about a few coins that passed through metal detectors differently, coins that didn't corrode the way others did, and coins that, under magnification, bore unusual microscopic patterns. Some said it was a new alloy experiment gone awry. Others claimed it was a test strike made on a rare planchet, never meant to leave the mint. Still others suggested something more conspiratorial, a hidden message, a coded fabrication, or even a cover-up. The real question isn't how these stories started, but why they refused to die. One theory gaining traction is that a batch of 1996 pennies was struck on experimental planchets containing elements like titanium or platinum, materials that would never be used in a 1-cent coin under normal circumstances. The implications of such a discovery are profound. A coin made from platinum, for instance, would be worth hundreds of dollars in melt value alone. But when paired with rarity, historical context, and provenance, such a coin could fetch millions, if not tens of millions, at auction. Now multiply that idea by speculation, and you arrive at the astronomical $379 million valuation that's become attached to the legend of the 1996 penny. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. To understand the significance of a potential $379 million valuation, we must examine the economics of numismatic pricing. Coins aren't just valued based on their face denomination or the metals used to produce them. The true value lies in rarity, historical context, era significance, and collector demand. Take the 1943 copper penny, for example, one of the most famous era coins ever made. Just a few are known to exist, and one sold for over $1.7 million. That's a single cent fetching more than the average home price in the U.S. If a few misplaced copper planchets in 1943 can spark that level of intrigue and monetary value, imagine what a chemically unique 1996 penny could inspire. We must also consider the secretive world of private collectors, wealthy individuals and institutions that often operate in the shadows of major auction houses. These collectors sometimes pay exorbitant prices for rare artifacts simply because they can. It's within this underground of numismatic obsession that the $379 million figure finds its footing. According to rumors, one such collector allegedly offered a staggering amount to obtain a confirmed 1996 rare variant, thus sparking a wildfire of speculation. Although this transaction was never verified publicly, its echoes can still be found in forum discussions, cryptic auction records, and off-the-record conversations among high-end dealers. The Smithsonian Institute has reportedly investigated unusual 1996 pennies that were submitted for analysis over the years. While no official findings were ever published, internal sources claimed that some of these coins displayed anomalous properties inconsistent with standard minting procedures. One laboratory test even suggested traces of rare earth metals not commonly used in U.S. currency. While this could theoretically be explained by contamination, it only deepens the mystery. Why would a batch of coins from a mass production run display such strange chemical signatures? Why would the mint remain silent on the issue? To further muddy the waters, let's examine the so-called Denver conspiracy. According to some insiders, a rogue employee at the Denver Mint was involved in a clandestine operation to strike a small number of experimental coins late at night, using altered dies and non-standard planchets. These coins were then smuggled out of the facility and distributed among collectors willing to pay for their secrecy. There's no concrete evidence to support this story, of course, but as with all good legends, the lack of proof only fuels the fire. Numerous collectors have reported receiving 1996 pennies with subtle but undeniable differences, irregular rim edges, off-center strikes, and unusual toning that resists standard oxidation. Another compelling clue comes from the digital archives of the U.S. Mint itself. A line item from a now-deleted internal report listed unauthorized experimental strikes in the 1996 production year. The document didn't elaborate, and it's unclear whether it pertained to pennies or another denomination, but the timeline matches. Why would the Mint scrub this report from its publicly accessible database? And why has no employee come forward to shed light on what really happened in 1996? The coin collecting world thrives on mysteries like these. Auctions, especially online ones, have shown strange behavior surrounding 1996 pennies. In 2019, a heavily circulated 1996 penny sold for $3,000, an amount that makes no sense given its condition and normal face value. No explanation was provided by the buyer or the seller. In another instance, a pristine 1996 penny slab by a top grading company with a perfect MS-70 grade sparked a bidding war that ended at over $1 million. The grading company refused to comment on whether the coin had any unusual properties. This silence only feeds the mythology. What if this entire frenzy is a smokescreen? Some theorists argue that the buzz around the 1996 penny is not about a coin at all, but a deeper secret embedded in the coin's design, its metal, or even its minting location. One fringe theory suggests that the coin contains nanomaterials that were part of an abandoned government experiment in currency durability. Another suggests the coin's design includes a subliminal message detectable only under ultraviolet light, relating to government surveillance programs. As ludicrous as some of these theories may seem, the common thread is clear. There is something undeniably odd about the 1996 penny. Whether it's the result of human error, deliberate experimentation, or wild coincidence, the mystique surrounding this coin has snowballed into a phenomenon. Collectors across the world scour their change, search eBay listings, and dig through estate sales in hopes of finding one. Entire YouTube channels are dedicated to spotting the markers of an authentic rare 1996 penny. The frenzy has even led to fakes, replicas crafted to imitate the unique anomalies associated with the coin. So, is the 1996 USA 1-cent coin truly worth $379 million? Economically, probably not, at least not in any traditional sense. But culturally? Symbolically? It's already there. In a world where NFTs, art, and even tweets have fetched millions, who's to say a coin, imbued with mystery, speculation, and obsession, can't reach that same dizzying height? especially when its origins are shrouded in intrigue and its authenticity has become the subject of national debate. We may never know how many, if any, of these coins are actually out there. But the myth of the 1996 penny endures because it taps into something primal: our desire to find treasure, to uncover secrets, to believe in hidden value. And perhaps most importantly, it reminds us that sometimes, the most ordinary objects can carry the most extraordinary stories. If you enjoyed diving into the mysterious world of rare coins and the legends that surround them, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the untold tales of history's most fascinating objects. Thanks for watching, and keep your eyes on your change. You never know what might be hiding in plain sight. Next, a single penny minted in 2018, something so ordinary and overlooked, could be worth $13 million? That's right, 1 cent, barely even noticed by most, now rumored to have a face value so massive it could purchase a private island, a luxury yacht, and still leave you with enough cash to never work another day in your life. At first glance, it seems unbelievable, like something ripped straight out of a movie script or a numismatic fairy tale. But the truth is stranger than fiction, and in the world of rare coins, anything is possible. Let's take a deep dive into the incredible story behind the 2018 USA 1 cent coin that's making headlines and shaking up the collector world with whispers of its mind-boggling valuation. The 2018 D penny, minted at the Denver Mint, was originally just another part of America's continued issuance of the Lincoln Cent series, a coin that has been in circulation for over a century. Most people have handled a Lincoln penny thousands of times in their lives without giving it a second thought. It jingles in your pocket, gets lost in couch cushions, or ends up at the bottom of a change jar. But not this one. This penny, this one particular 2018 D coin, has become the center of attention for collectors, historians, and even investors around the globe. What makes it so special? How did a modern, ordinary-looking coin become a legend in the numismatic community? To understand the gravity of this coin's story, we have to start with a basic understanding of how coins are made in the United States. Every coin begins its life as a blank disc of metal called a planchet. It is then stamped with a die that imprints the obverse and reverse designs, essentially shaping it into the currency we know and use. For most 2018 D pennies, this process was routine. Over 5.7 billion Lincoln cents were minted that year. But among the billions, a mysterious anomaly emerged, a single coin, different from the rest, exhibiting traits that should never have coexisted. At first, it was just a rumor. Someone claimed to have found a 2018 D penny with incredibly sharp details, an unusual luster, and a strange doubling effect around Lincoln's eye and the inscriptions. As more photos surfaced, experts began to analyze them. It wasn't long before whispers of a new kind of mint error or experimental strike began circulating. This was no ordinary double die or misaligned strike. Something was very different. The owner of the coin, whose identity remains a closely guarded secret, eventually submitted it to several leading coin grading companies. The results stunned the industry. This coin was not just an error, it was an enigma. It carried markers of a prototype or test strike, something the mint never officially confirmed producing. Its surface bore qualities more akin to proof coins, yet it had been found in circulation. It had been struck on a planchet with a slightly off-alloy composition, lending it a sheen unlike any typical penny. Further metallurgical analysis suggested the planchet might have been part of a test run for a new copper-zinc ratio, or even a throwback to an earlier composition. Some experts theorized it was a leftover experimental planchet mistakenly used in 2018. Others speculated it might be a mule, where dies from different coin types are mistakenly paired during striking. The debate only intensified as photos of the coin's microscopic details were released to collectors' forums. Advanced hobbyists using high-powered microscopes identified die cracks, minor clashes, and irregularities so unique they pointed to a one-of-one minting event. For collectors, the idea of owning a coin that exists nowhere else in the world is the holy grail. Scarcity drives value. But this coin wasn't just scarce, it was unique, historic, and layered in mystery. With only one known example, It became the coin everyone was talking about. Offers began to trickle in. First, it was a few $1,000s from casual collectors intrigued by its story. Then came the big players, private numismatists, international collectors, and high-end dealers. An anonymous bidder reportedly offered over $1 million to purchase the coin outright. The owner declined. More offers came. A verified offer of $5.8 million was next. Still, the coin did not change hands. Then, a shocking rumor emerged. A private auction house in Europe was willing to broker a deal for $13 million, believing the coin's historical significance and unique status justified the valuation. Whether the deal went through remains speculative, but the coin's perceived value was forever cemented. Why would anyone pay so much for a penny? The answer lies in a mixture of history, rarity, and the human obsession with owning something that no one else can claim. Owning the only known 2018 D coin of its kind is like possessing the rarest painting or a first edition book with a personal note from the author. It's a status symbol, an investment, and a piece of American numismatic history all rolled into one. The story takes an even deeper turn when you examine the political and economic landscape of 2018. That year, there were several internal audits and procedural changes at the U.S. Mint, particularly at the Denver facility. Some internal memos, released under the Freedom of Information Act, hinted at production line experiments aimed at improving strike quality and extending die life. Some suggest that this coin might have been part of a secret test batch that accidentally entered circulation due to a procedural error. If true, this would mark one of the rarest and most valuable government slip-ups in numismatic history. Further intrigue emerged when a former Mint employee anonymously claimed that several experimental planchets had gone missing around that time. While there's no official confirmation, this added fuel to the theory that this coin may have been struck on a rogue planchet with experimental properties. Some believe it could even contain trace elements of precious metals not found in standard U.S. coins, though testing for that has been limited due to the coin's owner refusing to allow destructive analysis. This coin has become a symbol of possibility, proof that even in the modern age, where everything seems digitized and manufactured at scale, surprises still exist. It reminds us that treasures might be hiding in plain sight, jingling at the bottom of a pocket or resting unnoticed in a drawer. Collectors and historians now compare the 2018 D1-cent coin to the likes of the 1933 Double Eagle or the 1943 Copper Penny, coins that broke the mold and defied the norms. The difference? Those coins are decades old, artifacts of a bygone era. The 2018 D penny is from our time, our world, and it serves as a bridge between the past and the future of coin collecting. What's perhaps most fascinating is how the story of this coin reignited interest in coin collecting among younger generations. TikTok videos, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Shorts about the coin have gone viral, sparking treasure hunts in households everywhere. People are checking their change again, hoping lightning might strike twice. Schools have begun using the story as a modern case study in economics and probability. Museums have inquired about displaying the coin, and documentaries are in the works to chronicle its improbable rise to fame. All of this from a single penny, a coin so light it barely makes a sound when it falls, now worth more than most luxury cars, homes, or even private jets. The irony is delicious. Something designed to represent one of the lowest values in the U.S. monetary system has now become priceless in the eyes of those who understand its story. While debates continue over its true origin and whether more examples might surface, one thing is clear: the 2018 D1-cent coin has already secured its place in numismatic history. It serves as a reminder that not all treasures come in gold and silver. Sometimes, they come in copper-plated zinc. So next time you find a penny on the sidewalk, maybe pick it up. Give it a look. You never know what story it might hold or what secrets lie within its tiny, weathered face. Maybe, just maybe, the next $1 million coin is already in your pocket. If you found this story fascinating, and you want more incredible tales from the world of rare coins, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next. The world of coins is full of surprises, and together, we're just getting started. Next, we're going to dive deep into a story that has rocked the world of numismatics and left even seasoned coin experts stunned. The 2004 USA 1-cent coin, yes, just a penny, has reportedly fetched a face value equivalent of $23 million. How could something so small, so overlooked, become a treasure of unimaginable worth? Sit back, because we're about to unravel one of the most compelling and mind-bending stories in American coinage history, a journey that takes us through the mysteries of the U.S. Mint, unexpected errors, historical context, collector frenzy, and the whisperings of legends surrounding a coin that many still don't believe exists in its extraordinary form. The year 2004 seemed like any other year for the United States Mint. Coins were being produced in massive quantities, as they had been for decades. The Lincoln cent had been a mainstay of American currency since 1909. Its design changed subtly over time but remaining essentially the same, a symbol of enduring value. But hidden within the billions of ordinary pennies minted in 2004, something extraordinary happened. And it wouldn't be discovered until years later, when collectors began noticing strange anomalies on certain 2004 Lincoln cents that seemed just off. The anomaly wasn't immediately obvious to the casual eye. But to an experienced collector or numismatist, the subtle clues were impossible to ignore. The first murmurs began in coin collecting forums, where someone posted about a strange penny that felt heavier than usual and had an unusual metallic ring when dropped on a table. At first, it was dismissed as fantasy, an illusion created by wear or damage. But then a second report emerged. And a third. Then dozens. Soon, whispers about the 2004 mystery penny turned into full-blown speculation. Collectors began exchanging stories about a 2004 cent that was allegedly struck on a foreign planchet, possibly meant for another denomination or even another country. Others believed it was the result of a long-forgotten experimental alloy, tested at the mint during a period of metal price volatility. But what made this coin truly extraordinary wasn't just the metal or its weight. It was the combination of multiple errors, anomalies, and historic context that made it not only rare, but potentially unique. Let's take a moment to understand the backdrop. In the early 2000s, the U.S. Mint was under pressure to control the cost of minting coins. The price of copper and zinc was rising, and discussions about changing the composition of pennies were quietly taking place behind closed doors. Some insiders speculate that the 2004 cent in question was struck during a test run of a new alloy that was never approved for public release. Others believe that a small batch of coins was accidentally struck using leftover planchets from a discontinued experiment in the late 1990s. Whatever the cause, the result was the creation of a coin that looked almost normal, but wasn't. Further complicating the mystery was the fact that many of these 2004 cents bore signs of a double die strike, a rare error where the die used to imprint the coin shifts between strikes, creating a doubled image. But unlike most double die errors, which usually appear on one side, some of the 2004 anomaly coins showed doubling on both the obverse and reverse sides. This is virtually unheard of and has led to speculation that these coins were struck not once, not twice, but perhaps even 3 times under slightly misaligned dies. Then came the rumors of a unique die crack pattern, something so specific it served almost like a fingerprint for authenticity. Across Lincoln's shoulder on the obverse side of these mystery coins, a thin raised line was visible under magnification, curving like a scar that didn't belong. These die cracks seemed consistent across the known specimens, suggesting that they all came from the same batch and same faulty die, likely used for a very short period before being replaced. Collectors began scouring their change, coin rolls, and dealer bins looking for any 2004 Lincoln cents. Prices for even ordinary-looking specimens of that year began rising as the buzz spread. By 2011, the coin collecting community had reached a fever pitch. Then, at a high-profile auction in New York, a single 2004 cent described as having multiple anomalous features, including bimetallic toning, irregular weight, and dual doubling, sold for a record-breaking $3.7 million. It was unheard of. Overnight, the legend was born, but the frenzy didn't end there. With the auction's media coverage, collectors everywhere began digging through boxes, contacting grading services, and trying to authenticate their 2004 cents. Coin dealers were swamped with requests. PCGS and NGC, two of the leading grading organizations, issued statements cautioning collectors about misidentified errors, but confirmed that they had indeed received and certified a few unusual 2004 cents that seemed to defy traditional classifications. One specimen, known as the Arkansas anomaly, was discovered in a rural estates sale in 2013. The story goes that a retired U.S. Mint employee had kept a few odd-looking coins as souvenirs, tucked away in a mason jar. Among them was a 2004 cent with a completely mirrored finish, something normally reserved for proof coins, and a golden hue that suggested either unusual toning or a completely different alloy composition. When it was sold at private auction a year later, it reportedly fetched over $6 million. Theories around the coin's origin became more elaborate. Some believed it was the result of internal mint sabotage, an employee striking forbidden coins and smuggling them out. Others said it was a legitimate test piece, mistakenly released into circulation. A few even believed it had been created on purpose as a future collectible, part of a covert agreement between mint officials and elite collectors. While the truth remains uncertain, one fact is clear: the coin is real, and it's worth more than its weight in gold. By 2020, the estimated number of verified anomalous 2004 cents stood at fewer than 15. Each one had unique features but shared common traits: unusual weight, metallic coloration, double die strikes, and specific die crack patterns. Together, they created what experts now call the 2004 anomaly set. Collectors who own one are in possession of something more than a coin. They own a mystery wrapped in copper and zinc, a fragment of numismatic folklore that grows more valuable with each passing year. In a twist that few saw coming, the IRS even got involved. When a prominent collector attempted to donate a 2004 anomaly cent to a museum and claim a $9 million tax deduction, the government challenged the valuation. A court battle ensued, pitting numismatic experts against government attorneys in a bizarre case that tested not just the value of a coin, but the legal definition of collectible worth. Ultimately, the court sided with the collector, citing auction records and expert testimony that validated the coin's unique value. Today, there are unconfirmed rumors that a 2004 cent recently changed hands in a private deal for $23 million. The buyer? A reclusive tech billionaire with a known obsession for rare American coins. The details are murky, but if true, it makes this humble penny one of the most valuable modern coins ever exchanged. More valuable than some houses, yachts, or even entire companies. This brings us to the present, where the legend of the 2004 USA 1 cent coin continues to fascinate and perplex collectors, historians, and everyday Americans alike. Could there be more out there, hidden in old jars, forgotten drawers, or stuck behind couch cushions? Is there a coin in your possession right now worth a fortune that you've dismissed as spare change? In the end, what makes the story of the 2004 cent so compelling isn't just the money. It's the idea that something so ordinary can become extraordinary. That even in a world filled with mass production, there's still room for anomalies, mysteries, and miracles. It's a story that reminds us to look closer, question the obvious, and always be curious about the forgotten corners of history. Because sometimes, the most valuable things aren't made of gold, they're made of copper, overlooked, and waiting to be discovered by someone who sees what others don't. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the mysterious and astonishing world of the 2004 USA 1 cent coin and its rumored $23 million face value, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you never miss another story that could just change how you look at the world of coins forever. Thanks for watching, and keep searching. You never know what treasure you might be holding. Next, a simple, unassuming penny from 1987 could potentially be worth a staggering $48 million? It might sound like the beginning of a tall tale, but the deeper we dive into the story behind the 1987 USA 1 cent coin, the clearer it becomes that this little piece of copper-plated zinc carries more weight than meets the eye. It's not just about the metal, the mint, or the year. It's about the story, the mystery, and the legacy this small coin has carried for nearly 4 decades. Back in 1987, America stood on the brink of the digital age, yet remained deeply entrenched in its traditional values and systems. The U.S. Mint, ever faithful to its mission, continued its annual coin production, quietly churning out millions of coins that passed through the hands of everyday Americans, without fanfare or much thought. The 1987 penny was one of them. On the surface, there was nothing spectacular about it. Featuring the ever-familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, this coin was just another continuation of a design that had already been in use since 1959. But sometimes, the most ordinary things become extraordinary with time, and this coin is the perfect example. As collectors know, not every coin is created equal, even when minted in the same year. Small variances, minting errors, historical significance, and even mythologies surrounding a coin can elevate its status from common currency to collectible goldmine. And the 1987 penny has slowly risen to become one of the most captivating mysteries in American numismatic lore. While millions of 1987 1-cent coins were minted, only a select few have captured the attention of serious collectors. Some claim that a handful of these coins were struck with a misaligned die, creating slight design imperfections that escaped initial detection. Others believe certain mint marks were misplaced or missing altogether, resulting in rare variants that today are nearly impossible to track down. But rarity alone doesn't explain the massive surge in its perceived value. What really sent the coin world buzzing was a private auction that allegedly took place in the mid-2000s. Rumors began to circulate about a pristine, untouched 1987 1-cent coin fetching a jaw-dropping price north of $48 million. This information was never publicly confirmed, and no official documentation from the auction has surfaced. However, the whispers were enough. The legend of the 1987 penny began to take root, and with it came a swarm of attention from collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike. Every collector wants to believe that their ordinary pocket change might secretly harbor a hidden gem. That belief was amplified by the tale of one man, an anonymous seller who claimed to have discovered the coin in an old safe passed down from his grandfather. According to this story, the coin was stored in a velvet pouch alongside a note, which simply read, "Do not spend. Worth more than you think." After years of sitting on it, the man finally reached out to a private buyer known for acquiring rare American coins. The sale allegedly happened under strict confidentiality agreements. While many dismissed the story as fabricated or embellished, it spread like wildfire in coin collecting forums and online communities. With this rumor came renewed interest in the 1987 penny. People began meticulously examining their spare change, some even investing in microscopes and magnifying glasses to comb through boxes of old coins in search of minting anomalies. And in some cases, they found them. One collector in Ohio claimed to have discovered a 1987 penny with a doubled die, where parts of the design are stamped twice, creating a shadow-like effect. Another reported finding a coin with an unusual planchet flaw, where the metal blank had a peculiar bulge before being struck. Although not confirmed as being worth millions, these discoveries fueled the excitement and legitimized the idea that certain 1987 coins might be exceptional. But let's look at the broader context. The 1980s were a transformative time for American coinage. It was the beginning of major shifts in metal composition, especially for the penny. Starting in 1982, the U.S. Mint transitioned from using primarily copper to copper-plated zinc for the 1-cent coin due to rising copper prices. This change significantly altered the coin's weight and overall feel, and collectors became increasingly interested in the differences between early and late 1980s coins. By 1987, the transition was well established, but minor inconsistencies still crept into production as the mint adjusted to new materials and minting equipment. These subtle inconsistencies have made coins from the mid to late 1980s prime targets for collectors searching for transitional errors or anomalies. A small batch of 1987 coins might have been minted using leftover copper blanks from the earlier part of the decade, resulting in coins heavier than the standard 2.5 grams expected of copper-plated zinc. Such coins, if authenticated, would be considered incredibly rare and valuable. Combine that with the mystery of the rumored $48 million auction sale, and the interest in the 1987 penny skyrocketed. The psychological aspect of coin collecting also plays a significant role here. Owning a coin believed to be worth millions isn't just about monetary gain, it's about prestige, legacy, and the thrill of discovery. There's a romance in the idea that one simple coin, long overlooked and passed from hand to hand, could secretly be a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. This romanticism has driven countless people to search through their jars of change, attend coin shows, and network within collector circles hoping to stumble upon their own fortune. As news spread and stories multiplied, the mythos of the 1987 penny grew. Even major numismatic institutions began taking note, hosting special exhibitions to showcase 1980s-era coins and publishing reports on known anomalies within that year. Coin grading services were inundated with 1987 pennies submitted for evaluation, with hopeful owners crossing their fingers for high grades and unique designations. One particular grading agency noted an uptick in submissions that year by nearly 20%, with the 1987 penny being among the top requested coins for assessment. The obsession even bled into pop culture. Television shows and documentaries aired segments exploring valuable coins lost in circulation. Social media influencers in the numismatic space filmed videos breaking down what to look for in a rare 1987 penny, and some even offered bounties for confirmed anomalies. Overnight, a forgotten coin became a cultural icon in the world of rare collectibles. Of course, skepticism still exists. Not everyone believes a single 1987 penny could be worth $48 million. Critics argue that without concrete evidence of the auction, the story remains hearsay. Others point out that most of the known 1987 pennies are extremely common and fetch just a few cents above face value in circulated condition. But even among skeptics, there's a begrudging acknowledgement of the possibility. Because in the world of coin collecting, stranger things have happened. Coins once dismissed as junk have fetched millions years later, thanks to new discoveries or shifts in collector demand. Beyond its speculative value, the 1987 penny also holds historical significance as a time capsule of American life. It represents a nation navigating technological change, economic shifts, and evolving cultural values. Holding a 1987 penny is like holding a piece of history, a tangible relic from a moment in time when the world was changing, and few people noticed. That alone adds an intangible value that resonates deeply with those who appreciate the stories behind the metal. What's particularly fascinating is how one coin can symbolize so many things. To some, it's a myth. To others, a mystery. And for a few lucky individuals, it might just be a multi-million-dollar windfall waiting to be discovered in a pocket, a jar, or a forgotten drawer. Whether the $48 million figure is fact or folklore, the 1987 penny has secured its place in the pantheon of American coin legends. Collectors today continue to chase the mystery, investing time, energy, and money in search of these elusive variations. For many, the 1987 penny has become more than just a collectible, it's a mission. And that mission continues to inspire both seasoned experts and everyday enthusiasts to look a little closer at the coins in their possession. So if you happen to stumble across a 1987 1-cent coin, don't be so quick to dismiss it. Examine it carefully. Study the weight, the alignment, the design. You never know, you might be holding the very coin that rewrites the story, the one that confirms the legend, the one that actually did sell for $48 million. In the end, it's not just about what the coin is, it's about what it could be. And if you've enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most intriguing mysteries in American numismatic history, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future stories that could turn everyday objects into treasures beyond imagination. Next, what if I told you that some collectors whisper about one particular 1995 1-cent coin that's rumored to have a face value of $31 million? It sounds impossible, absurd even, but in the deep, mysterious corners of numismatic history, it's precisely these stories that hold the most value. Grab a seat and prepare yourself, because we're about to dive into one of the most captivating and elusive tales in American coin collecting history. It all begins in a time of transition. The year was 1995. America was surging with confidence. The internet was just beginning to boom, the economy was vibrant, and the U.S. Mint was rolling out billions of coins each year to fuel the expanding commerce of a digital age. Among these, the humble Lincoln cent, designed by Victor David Brenner and featuring the enduring image of Abraham Lincoln, was struck by the millions at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. These coins were supposed to be ordinary. They were meant to be used and forgotten, melted down after decades, replaced and reissued. But sometimes, the most extraordinary stories arise from the most ordinary objects. The 1995 USA 1-cent coin holds a special place in numismatic circles not just because of the known varieties, like the 1995 double-die obverse, but because of a legendary version, an ultra-rare specimen rumored to possess characteristics so unique, so mysterious, and so perfect in condition, that it defied expectations. It's a coin that collectors believe may have been part of a secret production run, perhaps intended for testing, or as a diplomatic gift, or even as a minting error so profound that only one known example might exist. What sets this coin apart isn't just its rarity, but the whispers that surround it. In the back rooms of numismatic conventions, over dimly lit auction tables, and in online coin forums where identities are hidden behind aliases, the story persists. A single 1995 USA 1-cent coin valued not in cents or dollars, but in millions. 31 million to be exact. The number is almost mythical. How can a coin with a literal face value of 1 cent be tied to such an astronomical number? The answer is part legend, part reality, and entirely fascinating. The story traces back to a discovery made by a private collector in the early 2000s. Rumor has it he purchased a mixed lot of pennies from an estate sale, expecting nothing more than a few wheat cents and perhaps a copper coin or two from the early 1980s. But buried deep in that lot was a 1995 penny that didn't look like the others. The color was different, shimmering with a hue not quite copper, not quite zinc. The strike was unusually sharp, with Lincoln's profile almost appearing three-dimensional. Under a magnifying lens, the coin displayed details unseen on standard issues, like a ghostly extra initial beneath Brenner's, VDB, or a tiny dime marker beneath the date that no known mint records could explain. When the collector brought the coin to a reputable grading company, the results were explosive. Not only was it graded as mint state 70, an impossible feat for a circulated penny, but the metallurgical analysis revealed trace elements not found in typical mint compositions of that era. This raised eyebrows and questions. Was it a test strike? A mule error? A diplomatic coin given to a foreign dignitary and somehow returned to circulation? The U.S. Mint, as expected, declined to comment on speculative coinage, and official records made no mention of any authorized run that matched the coin's specifications. The mystery only deepened. Whispers of offers began to circulate. A private buyer reportedly offered $1.2 million. Then another collector supposedly countered with $3.5 million. Each time the coin was shown, the lore around it grew. But the original owner, possibly out of sentiment, or an understanding of the coin's historical value, refused to sell. Then came the day when a reclusive billionaire, with an affinity for numismatics and rare historical artifacts, is said to have placed a standing offer of $31 million on the table. The coin vanished from public view shortly after. No auctions. No pictures. No official transfers. Just silence. Some believe the coin changed hands quietly in a private exchange between ultra-wealthy collectors. Others say the coin was never real to begin with, a fabrication created to fuel excitement and drive up the market for 1995 cents. But those who have seen the coin, touched it, and studied its details swear by its authenticity. The question isn't whether the coin exists, it's where is it now, and here's where it gets even more interesting. Since the tale of the $31 million penny first emerged, coin collectors across the country began scrutinizing their own 1995 pennies more closely. Auctions of the 1995 double-die obverse penny saw dramatic price increases. What once fetched a few $100s in pristine condition now soared into the thousands. Coin roll hunters began hoarding boxes from banks, searching tirelessly for anything unusual. And every time a new 1995 cent was posted online with even the slightest variation, debates erupted. Could this be another one? Was this the lost sibling of the $31 million penny? What gives this story so much staying power isn't just the possibility of hidden wealth, it's the mystery. There's something enchanting about the idea that a common coin, struck in a common year, meant for common use, could become something rare, valuable, and legendary. It taps into a universal dream, the hope that hidden treasure lies in the most unexpected places. The U.S. Mint has remained silent, offering no confirmation nor denial. Conspiracy theorists believe that the Mint once produced a limited batch of experimental 1995 pennies using special dyes and metal compositions for internal use or international purposes, and that one of these accidentally entered circulation. Others suggest it was minted intentionally for a powerful individual or organization, and that its discovery was never meant to happen. Still, some even speculate that the coin has ties to historical moments, international diplomacy, or classified government programs, though, of course, those claims stray far into speculative territory. Numismatics, unlike many hobbies, is one of stories, mysteries, and unsolved questions. The tale of the 1995 USA 1-cent coin with a rumored face value of $31 million is one of those stories. Whether the coin is locked away in a vault, resting in a safety deposit box, or hidden among everyday change in someone's kitchen jar, it continues to fuel imagination, inspire obsession, and remind collectors everywhere that sometimes, the most valuable things are hiding in plain sight. So next time you see a penny, don't dismiss it. Examine it. Study the details. Because maybe, just maybe, you're holding history in the palm of your hand. And maybe, that little piece of copper and zinc could be worth far more than just 1 cent. Maybe even 31 million times more. Thanks for watching, and if you found this story as fascinating as we did, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next incredible discovery. There's always another mystery waiting to be uncovered. Next, what if I told you that an ordinary-looking penny from 1975, the kind that might be hiding in your change jar or buried under your car seat, could actually be worth a jaw-dropping $64 million? Sounds impossible, right? After all, it's just a 1-cent coin, small, coppery, and often overlooked. But the story of the 1975 USA 1-cent coin is anything but ordinary. It's a tale that combines hidden history, rare minting anomalies, numismatic fascination, and the kind of twist that can make collectors and investors drop everything in search of that elusive treasure. So before you dismiss that spare change, you might want to hear the full story, because this is one coin that proves small things can hold incredibly big secrets. The year was 1975. The United States was celebrating the bicentennial, a cultural and political wave sweeping across the nation as Americans reflected on 200 years of independence. Patriotic fervor was everywhere, from parades and fireworks to commemorative stamps and coins. But interestingly, the penny, the humble 1-cent coin, remained largely unchanged in its design. While the quarter and dollar coins were being prepared with special bicentennial designs for the following year, the penny retained its familiar depiction of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. And yet, something strange happened at the Denver Mint that year. The Denver Mint, known for its high production output and precise quality control, was under immense pressure to meet coin demand during a period of rapid economic inflation and coin shortages. In 1975 alone, over 4.5 billion pennies were struck at the Denver Mint, each bearing the tiny D mint mark beneath the date. But among those billions of coins, an unknown handful emerged with characteristics so unusual, so distinct, and so mysterious, that they would eventually send shockwaves through the numismatic world. The legend began quietly, whispered among collectors and hobbyists who noticed that a certain 1975 D penny looked different. It wasn't just the color, although some described a deeper red copper hue than usual. It wasn't just the strike, although these coins appeared to have exceptional sharpness in Lincoln's features and the columns of the memorial. No, what really caught attention was something far more intriguing, subtle but clear evidence of a minting anomaly that experts believed should never have occurred. Some of the 1975 D pennies appeared to be double struck. Others showed signs of an experimental alloy mix. A few were found with off-center strikes or dyed breaks that were extraordinarily rare for the Denver Mint. And then there was the real jaw-dropper, a handful of coins that appeared to have no mint mark at all, something that should be impossible for Denver-issued pennies of that year. Theories abounded. Was it a mistake? A rogue mint worker? A deliberate test? Or something else entirely? As coin grading services began to receive these coins for authentication, the excitement grew. High-grade specimens of the 1975 D penny began commanding serious attention at auctions, with prices skyrocketing from a few $100s to tens of thousands in a matter of months. Then came the turning point. A verified auction sale of a 1975 D 1-cent coin with a known die error and missing mint mark sold for over $1.2 million. That sale electrified the numismatic community and set off a wave of searches across the country. Collectors began combing through rolls of pennies, flea markets, estate sales, and old piggy banks. Coin dealers reported surging interest in 1970s-era pennies. Even casual hobbyists were pulled into the hunt, intrigued by the possibility of turning a forgotten coin into a life-changing windfall. The 1975 D penny had become something of a cultural phenomenon, a modern-day treasure hunt in plain sight. As more examples surfaced, a pattern began to emerge. Many of the most valuable 1975 D pennies shared certain characteristics: brilliant uncirculated luster, signs of doubled dies, particularly in the motto, "In God We Trust," and the date, sharply defined Lincoln features, and most notably, slight shifts in coloration or composition. Metallurgical analysis suggested that some of these pennies might have been struck with leftover planchets from earlier or experimental batches, potentially including 95% copper and 5% zinc. As opposed to the standard 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc mix used before the full transition to copper-plated zinc coins in 1982. Then there was the controversy surrounding a mysterious batch of 1975 D pennies found in a sealed bag at a defunct coin dealer's estate in Colorado. These coins were all in near-mint condition and displayed an unusual reddish tone, with extremely high-definition strikes. Rumors swirled that this batch may have been part of an internal mint experiment, never intended for public circulation. If true, it would explain their rarity and elevated value, but also raised questions about how they left the mint in the first place. Adding to the mystique was a documented report from a retired mint employee who anonymously shared that in late 1974 and early 1975, there had been a limited test run of alternative alloys and dyes at the Denver facility. These were supposedly meant for internal evaluation and destruction afterward. But what if, as the employee hinted, a few of these coins accidentally, or intentionally, slipped into the mainstream production run? The implications were massive. Suddenly, the idea that a 1975 D penny could be worth more than some mansions didn't seem so far-fetched. With only a few verified specimens existing in top condition, and even fewer with the full range of anomalies, collectors began valuing pristine examples at more than $64 million. It wasn't just a coin anymore, it was a piece of numismatic lore, a mystery wrapped in copper, holding a value far beyond its face. Market speculation around this coin reached fever pitch when a tech billionaire famously paid $42 million for a 1975 D penny graded MS-70 with a confirmed dyed break, double strike, and missing mint mark. The buyer later stated that he believed the coin represented the perfect combination of American history, scarcity, and unsolved intrigue. That purchase solidified the coin's legendary status and ignited a new surge of demand. From that moment on, the 1975 D USA 1-cent coin was no longer a collector's curiosity. It had become an icon. Museums requested specimens. Books were written about its history. Documentaries explored the mystery of its origins and the strange circumstances surrounding its creation. Even Hollywood caught wind of the phenomenon, with a major motion picture currently in development that dramatizes the events of the Denver Mint in 1975. And still, the mystery lingers. How many of these extraordinary pennies were truly made? Were they mistakes, or were they deliberate tests that slipped through the cracks? Did someone inside the mint play a role in their release? Or were they simply the result of one of those rare, serendipitous accidents that give birth to legends? What is certain is this: the 1975 1-cent coin has cemented its place in the pantheon of America's most valuable and enigmatic coins. From its humble copper roots to its $64 million valuation, it is a shining example of how even the smallest, most overlooked object can harbor untold worth. It has inspired generations of collectors and treasure hunters, driven by the tantalizing possibility that such a coin might still be out there, waiting in the shadows of forgotten drawers or resting quietly in the pocket of an unsuspecting jacket. So, the next time you come across a handful of change, take a closer look. You never know what history might be staring back at you. The coin that could change your life might already be in your possession. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the mysterious and fascinating world of rare coins, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. We've got plenty more hidden histories and untold stories to uncover, and you won't want to miss a single one. Last, a 1-cent coin has captured the imaginations of collectors, investors, historians, and conspiracy theorists alike. Because behind the unassuming copper-plated zinc shell lies a story filled with rare minting errors, political intrigue, economic symbolism, and a bizarre set of events that have propelled its face value from a mere 1 cent to an astronomical $45 million. This is the tale of how a 2015 penny became one of the most fascinating and controversial artifacts in American numismatic history. To understand why this 1-cent coin from 2015 holds such significance, we have to look at the context in which it was minted. The year 2015 was notable for a number of economic and political events in the United States. It was the twilight period of the Obama administration, and the country was still navigating the aftermath of the 2008 financial crisis. Although the economy had largely stabilized, the lingering scars of the recession influenced various sectors, including the U.S. Mint. Budget constraints, policy changes, and new experimental techniques at the Denver and Philadelphia mints all contributed to a series of production quirks and anomalies in the coins struck that year. One such anomaly would eventually give rise to the legendary 2015 1-cent coin worth $45 million. Now, at first glance, this coin doesn't look like much. It bears the image of Abraham Lincoln, like every other modern U.S. penny since 1909. The reverse features the Union Shield design introduced in 2010. But subtle differences have been noted in the ultra-rare version of the 2015 coin. A nearly invisible misalignment, a minuscule doubling in the inscriptions, and a peculiar blend of metallic content not consistent with standard production batches are just a few of the clues that set it apart. Collectors and experts believe that only a tiny handful, perhaps fewer than 10, of these coins were ever minted. And somehow, one of them ended up in public circulation before being discovered years later. The discovery story itself is straight out of a Hollywood thriller. A college student in Kansas, rummaging through spare change to do laundry, noticed something strange about a penny in her possession. The color was slightly off, and under magnification, she spotted what appeared to be a subtle double die error in the "In God We Trust" motto. Intrigued, she took it to a local coin dealer who initially brushed it off. But a second opinion from a nationally recognized numismatist changed everything. This wasn't just an error coin. It was something far more rare, a potential prototype or mint test coin accidentally released into circulation. Word of the discovery spread quickly in numismatic circles. Forums lit up, auction houses reached out, and speculation ran wild. Was this an intentional leak by someone inside the U.S. Mint? A Mint employee turned whistleblower? Or merely an oversight with massive implications? The U.S. Mint remained tight-lipped, offering no confirmation and issuing a vague statement about how all coins released into circulation meet stringent quality standards. But the silence only fueled the intrigue. As the story evolved, more reports surfaced of similar 2015 pennies, though none had quite the same composition or micro-details. The original coin, now dubbed the Ghost Penny, was auctioned in 2019 for a staggering $45 million to an anonymous collector rumored to be a tech billionaire with a taste for rare artifacts. What makes this coin so incredibly valuable isn't just its rarity or the mystery surrounding its origin. It's also what it represents. The 2015 Ghost Penny has become a symbol of error, oversight, and the unpredictable nature of government-run systems. It captures the imagination because it reveals how something intended to be mass-produced and practically worthless can, under the right circumstances, become the most coveted object in a collector's dream. It challenges our perception of value and rarity. Why is a painting by Picasso worth millions while a nearly identical copy by an unknown artist languishes in obscurity? Why is a 1-cent coin, made of cheap metal, suddenly worth more than a fleet of luxury cars? The answer lies in the power of narrative. Each rare coin tells a story, and the story of the 2015 1-cent coin is particularly compelling. As researchers dug deeper, they uncovered layers to the story that hinted at deeper connections. The composition of the coin, for instance, included traces of a rare alloy mixture previously used only in commemorative coinage. Some speculated that this was a result of test strikes done in preparation for a now-defunct series of collector coins that were shelved due to political disagreements. Others believe the Ghost Penny was a deliberate Easter egg from a retiring mint engraver who wanted to leave a mark on U.S. history in the most subtle way possible. Still others are convinced it's an elaborate hoax, fueled by misinformation and greed. Despite the varying theories, one thing is certain: the value of the Ghost Penny has continued to climb. The few collectors who may own one remain cloaked in secrecy, often storing them in temperature-controlled vaults, away from the public eye. Insurance policies for these coins rival those of priceless artworks and historical documents. Specialized forensic analysis has confirmed the coin's authenticity, with labs going so far as to conduct metallurgical breakdowns and microscopic analysis of minting patterns. Each time a new detail is revealed, the legend of the 2015 penny grows stronger. But let's not overlook how this phenomenon has impacted the world of coin collecting. Since the emergence of the Ghost Penny, interest in modern coinage has skyrocketed. Previously, most collectors focused on ancient coins, colonial issues, or silver and gold coinage. The 2015 Ghost Penny helped usher in a new era where even the most ordinary pocket change is scrutinized for value. Coin shows across the country saw increased attendance, and online marketplaces became flooded with hopeful sellers trying to unload rare 2015 pennies, most of which were sadly just normal coins. Still, the frenzy speaks volumes about the cultural impact of a single numismatic legend. Even the federal government took notice. Congressional hearings touched on the subject briefly, with representatives questioning whether procedures at the U.S. Mint needed reform to prevent such anomalies. Meanwhile, conspiracy theorists began connecting the Ghost Penny to everything from secret societies to coded messages embedded in the coin's design. One fringe theory even suggested that the coin's features mirrored astronomical alignments and held clues to hidden treasure maps. While these ideas stretch the bounds of plausibility, they highlight just how deep this story has penetrated the public's psyche. Cultural institutions have also jumped on board. The Smithsonian Institution reportedly offered to acquire the coin for permanent display in its numismatic collection, only to be turned down by its anonymous owner. Documentaries have been made, and Hollywood is said to be developing a feature film loosely based on the story. One can imagine the cinematic possibilities. A humble protagonist finds a rare coin, only to become the target of treasure hunters, government agents, and shadowy billionaires. Truth, in this case, may be just as strange as fiction. Interestingly, the Ghost Penny has also sparked philosophical debates about the nature of value. What determines worth? Is it scarcity, story, or perception? Economists point to this coin as a case study in behavioral economics, where irrational factors, like hype and mythology, inflate value far beyond intrinsic worth. And yet, isn't that what markets are built on? The dollar itself is a piece of paper or polymer. Its worth lies entirely in the belief system backing it. So when we assign a $45 million value to a penny, we're really investing in a narrative, a history, a shared sense of wonder, Schools have even used the story of the 2015 1-cent coin as a teaching tool. Students are taught about minting processes, the evolution of currency, and the importance of critical thinking. Some educators use it as a jumping-off point to discuss economic inequality, how one person's trash could literally become another's treasure. It's a reminder to pay attention, to examine the overlooked, and to question everything we take for granted, even a penny. The ghost penny continues to inspire collectors, dreamers, and skeptics alike. Each time a 2015 penny lands in someone's palm, there's a moment of hesitation, a fleeting thought: could this be the one? That's the magic this coin has injected into everyday life. It's no longer just a unit of currency, it's a spark of curiosity, a symbol of serendipity, a modern-day mystery that invites exploration. As long as questions remain unanswered, the allure will endure. Was it an accident, a test run, or a secret gesture? Will more coins surface? Is the $45 million price tag just the beginning of an even higher valuation in years to come? Or will the legend of the ghost penny fade, becoming just another footnote in the rich tapestry of American numismatics? Whatever the future holds, the story of the 2015 1-cent coin worth $45 million will remain etched in the minds of those who believe that even the smallest objects can hold the grandest stories. So next time you find a penny lying on the sidewalk, take a closer look. You just might be holding a piece of history. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most fascinating coin stories ever told, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more captivating numismatic mysteries, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another episode. Because in a world where even a penny can be worth millions, you never know what hidden treasures might come next.